A lot of people are wasting their time with mobility work to squat deeper because it isn't what is limiting them. There are 3 causes for depth issues, one of which is mobility, but there's also stability and confidence. In this video, I'll go over how to diagnose your issue and how to fix each one of them. First, let's go over mobility and stability, an easy test. Take your normal squat stance width and foot angle and do a bodyweight squat holding on to something for support. If you can hit depth like this, you obviously have the joint mobility. Your issue is stability, which we'll come back to later. If you can't hit depth like this, you can tell the issue is something mobility-wise. What I find with this test is a lot of people assume their issue is mobility, but they find out it's actually stability. You don't need a ton of mobility to hit a basic squat to depth. Ass to grass is a different story, of course. So what do we do if our issue is mobility, either hitting basic depth or getting even deeper to an ass to grass squat? Well, one nice thing about squats is they're their own mobility exercise. You can do some bodyweight squats using your stance and foot width, again holding on to something for support to really let you sit your weight down. If your issue is the hips being tight specifically, I really recommend this as it will be very specific. The hips will go through multiple planes of motion. They will both adduct and abduct, flex and extend, as well as internally and externally rotate during a squat. It can be hard to stretch the hips in a way that combines these in the specific way you need. The ankle is a bit simpler, and deep flexion can work well here. Now, something a lot of people don't know is resistance training is just as effective as stretching for improving mobility. I like calf raises focused on the maximal stretch here, and by the same logic of resistance training applying to mobility, it should go without saying too, try to squat as deep as you can whenever you're lifting. Now, second issue, stability. Now, if you could hold on to something and hit depth, you had the mobility, but the stability of holding on to something let you hit depth fine. Now, there can be many root causes to this, but at the end of the day, they all result in your center of mass not staying over your midfoot during your squat. There are multiple ways to work through this with variations. Tempo squats will emphasize midfoot balance on the descent, slow descent with constant speed. These are best done with low reps to not work on endurance. Pause squats in the hole work midfoot balance at the very bottom, and pause squats above parallel on the way up focus on midfoot balance out of the hole. Both of these pause variations can start with higher reps to use lighter weights that are easier to maintain the good pause form on, but work towards lower reps with higher weights that are harder to maintain. I always include at least one variation focused on control in all of my squat programs for myself and others. I think forcing myself to master this control is what gave me most of my squat gains. Blonde Matt isn't real, he can't hurt you. Now lastly, let's talk confidence. A lot of people simply just cut their squats high because they're scared little babies. Okay, real talk, if you can hit squat depth fine into the 80% range, fairly challenging weights, it's safe to say you can manage stability and mobility just fine. The issue is, when things get maximal, you start to naturally cut it higher. It makes sense that subconsciously you want to make it easier, but how do we fix it? Well, just squat deeper.
My goodness, what an idea. Why didn't I think of that?
Okay, real talk, you do just squat deeper, but starting with lighter weights where you can hit depth without hesitation, even if that means dialing things back quite a bit. Depth before ego, people. And just basically from there, progressively overload the percentage at which you can hit depth confidently. It's important to keep your standards high, never let yourself creep back into old habits. I know I've made fun of these deload to bar and work on form people before, but when it comes to something like squat depth, something essential to your squats to pass on the meet, or just to get the most out of the exercise if you don't compete, you want to be strict here. Stack up some reps right at the threshold of the weight where you can hit depth just before you start to cut it high, basically graded exposure, building your confidence with each rep, then try a bit more weight. Build confidence here, try more weight, repeat. And try making every rep right from the bar and warm-ups deep, make it second nature. So that's basically it, guys. I hope this video helps you squat deeper. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And once again, thanks for watching.